right now, I'm going to do the technical part. Sometimes people say the boring part, right? Me personally, I love it. I'm going to go through the steps of how to do a quick illustration, right? What you want to show the individual, how to let them know what it is, the role it plays in its finances, okay? So I got 30 minutes to show you guys this. There's probably going to be a ton of questions after, but write down the questions, okay? And maybe later today or tomorrow we can help you answer those questions, okay? But as of now, I got 30 minutes to get this going. So should I jump in now?
Yes.
Yeah? Perfect. So I sat with this individual. We've sat with him before. He saw what we do. He came to a presentation. Actually, he was the only one on a Saturday, and I just did a one-on-one with him. He said, I need help. Perfect. So it got delayed. I think it was like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, we sat today, but Francis did a phenomenal job of prepping him. So he said, what do I need? So she said, bring your statements, bring your finances, bring an idea of how much you want to set aside. Perfect. So when we sat with him, obviously we started talking, and I said, so what can I do for you, right? So, really good guy, 40-year-old, 4 kids, good guy, hardworking individual, runs a barber shop, right? Other than running the barber shop, he also teaches a barber school. So he's doing 12 to 15-hour days every day. So I said, okay, how can I help you? He said, I want life insurance. And I'm like, okay, you want the proper protection or just coverage? He's like, what would be the proper protection for me? Perfect. So what I did is, I think if you guys been in some of my trainings, you already know the what? So debt, and when I just wrote this down before starting, I said, before we go ahead, John, I'm going to change the name. I said, I want you to know that all the questions that I'm asking are for your benefit. I'm right now working for you. This is a place of trust. Everything we discuss here stays here. Okay, these are very personal matters, and I want you to know that I'm here committed to you. Perfect. So I said, how much debt do you have? And then I saw how his body language got like, and then Francis did something that was very good. Francis said, should I leave? Is it okay if I leave, or do you want me to stay? And he just looked at her and said, you're not going to say nothing, right? She's like, no. And I'm like, perfect. So he starts telling me the debt. Overall, he had $24,000 in debt. Okay. Income, he's making $78,000. Mortgage, it was an inheritance. Okay.
So, zero.
Zero. Mortgage was inherited, so they don't need nothing. From there, he has 4 kids, right? Two 16-year-olds, a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And I said, education, let's say tomorrow you pass away, would you want to leave something for them? He said, I got the VA, so there's going to be education for them if I pass away or if I don't. Perfect. So he said 0. So then I said, why do I ask these questions, John? The reason being is, right now, John, I'm not working for you. What's your wife's name? Gina. I'm working for Gina. She's my true client. Your kids, they are my true clients. I'm working for the orphans and the widows. Like, okay. So the reason why we go into debt is, if you pass away, would you want to leave that debt towards your wife? No. Perfect. Now I said, normally I structure from 7 to 10 years of income. And I told him the reason being is, what does your wife do? Like, she is an interior designer. How much does she make? Like around 30, 25 to 30. It's a part-time. Okay. So most couples, right, the wife with 4 kids stays back and focuses on the family. But you're out there grinding to pay the bills. So just through your experience, right, and the schooling and the certificates you've gotten, you're able to make more money. So I said, what you're trying to do is, what if she passes away? What if you pass away? What you want to do is at least leave 10 years of income so she can pay the bills and she can go to school or start a business or whatever she wants to start in those 10 years so she can take control of the finances of the household. So she doesn't depend on nobody. When I said that, I was meaning so she doesn't have to marry someone else, right, to be able to pay the bills or struggle. So I'm like, do you understand that? He's like, yes, I see why we want to leave just more than $20,000 to get married. So, is it making sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty simple, right? Mm-hmm. So, I added this in front of him, and I said, your proper coverage is $804,000. He said, perfect. And I told him right off the bat, I'm like, if you put this, we could cover you in a permanent insurance, but it's going to be expensive. You being 40 years of age. I said, it's probably going to be just with my experience of looking and doing and running so many illustrations, going to be $800 to $1,000 a month. If you can do that, that's awesome. But if you can't right now, right off the bat, John, you're going to need a balance of both policies. A permanent policy and a term policy. You're like, why? The reason being is a term policy most of the time are there and are structured 20 to 30 years. Term policies are put in place to cover an asset, either an income or a mortgage. So that's why you want to put a term policy in place, just to cover that. A permanent policy is there to be there for the rest of your life. Now the question that I have for you, John, is, do you think at 65 you're going to need coverage? Like, yes, I'm still going to die? I'm like, exactly. That's why we put a permanent policy in place. Why do we start both policies now? We want to lock in your rating. Right now, the biggest thing individuals do that think that they're smart is start a term policy, right? And then at 60, 65, they need to get a policy, but now they're too close to death. That means that the prices are so high for very little coverage. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to lock in the right rating at 40 years of age because you want to lock in what's inevitable, death. He's like, okay, so how much would that look? Perfect, I said. How much can you set aside? He's like, I can set aside $300 a month. Okay. So now let's go into illustration. And in that instant, I pulled out the, so you go in, right? The reason why automatically I go into National Life is there's a lot of guarantees with National Life and there's a lot of living benefits with National Life. So what he said, he's like, I want life insurance. What that told me is I want benefits, right? I want death benefit. I'm like, okay. So I go into illustrations. So he's very young, right? So he said, I want life insurance that also acts as retirement. Okay? So concerning his age, right, being 40, and concerning what he wants, benefits with coverage, I automatically gonna do this, right? So always make sure that the state is correct because it varies. Right now, one time I was doing $1,000 a month policy, and when I get there to show him, I was running everything in Colorado. I almost had a heart attack. I almost had a heart attack. So in that instant, I just changed the state, and everything was fine. But I was able to help the client. So California, I'm going to do Index Universal Life, and then I'm going to do Flex Life. So Flex Life is a very flexible account. You can do a lot of college plans in there. You can do for younger individuals in their early, from babies to like 45s, even 50s, depending on how much they're funding it, okay? Peak Life, that has a minimum death benefit of $1 million. So Peak Life is for those individuals that are, say, you know what, Isaac, discretionary a month, I have an extra $10,000, I can throw in something like this, $2,000 to $3,000 a month. Perfect. That's when you go into Peak Life. Secure Plus Provider, this one is something more conservative. There's not a lot of, the cap on which you could earn is around 8%. So that means that the policy is cheaper. Secure Plus Provider is better for your older individuals. Okay? Are we good with that? Just a little quick class. For now, he's 40 years of age. Let's do Flex Life. Abraham, you're probably going to understand this because it's pretty bored. If you're just coming in, right, you're not understanding a lot, but it's all good. So we said his name was John, right? John King, 09/23/1978. He's 40 years of age. So this is super simple, guys. This is asking the client's information, death benefit and funding, how much are you putting in? And then on the last part is asking how much are you pulling out. Okay? So let me focus. So now that we put the name, he's a male, and his date of birth, he doesn't smoke. You always want to do verified standard on tobacco. If he's like super fit, has six pack abs, you may want to do preferred. That means that everything's gonna be cheaper because he's probably gonna live longer. Okay? But most of the time you just want to do standard. You go into death benefit and funding. You do based on target premium. What that means is, he said he can set aside $300 a month. What that means is, I'm just going to put $300 a month and see what the calculation gives me concerning coverage. If this sounds like Chinese to some of you guys, it's all good. Okay, it'll make sense inevitably. And more from my friend here that thinks like an engineer. He's probably going to enjoy this. Right? So, based on target premium, and I asked the client, would you want, are you planning on putting more money in the future? Like if it was a 401k? He said yes. Perfect. So what we do is increase it. From there, we already figured out the death benefit. Instead of annual, we want to do monthly. EFT, and then we're going to click specify amount. Again, specify amount, just specifying he's going to set aside $300 a month. Okay? And I asked him, for illustration purposes, John, let's just imagine that for the first 5 years you're putting $300 a month. You're like, yeah, that works, Isaac. 1/5. From there I do add row, because he's only 45, right? And then I do specify amount, 400, and I told him, should we increase it? Like, yeah, from year 6 to year 10. Perfect.
So I can't see that, but from year 1 to 5 is 300 then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna do 1.6. And he's 40, we wanna fund this till he's 67. So Social Security retirement age just went up, because we're living longer. You remember when we used to be 64, and then 65, and right now, just like 2 months ago, was it? It bumped up to 67. Probably for individuals in this room that are 35 and younger, that means almost everyone in this room, right? We're probably gonna be around 70 years of age when it comes to Social Security retirement age, if we get some, right?
If there's any left there.
If there's any.
That's the big puzzle for our generation to figure out.
There won't be any, don't worry about it.
Tim is gonna.
There's not gonna be anybody for me either, so just don't worry about it, okay? I'm not counting on it, so you should.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
There's no way.
So don't plan on it.
Have you guys seen just what I did here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, right?
Yes.
I love to work with very smart individuals like yourself. Distribution. So we here premium. So the company wants to know, how much are you gonna give me, Isaac? Money, 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 money. And then how much are we pulling out? How are we gonna distribute the income? So I click specify amount. If it was a college fund, you could put specify amount, and you would put 30,000 at age 21, right? In this sense, you just do lifetime income benefit. So let's imagine this individual is going to pull out as if it was a pension. Perfect. So now we go into quick view, and we see how, if he funds it how we structured it, he could have a pension of around $19,000 tax-free for the rest of his life.
Yearly, right?
Yearly. So when the monthly basis would be, can someone divide 19.8 by 5 by 12?
1,654.
So that would be around the tax-free benefit that we would be getting every month. So how do I explain this, right?
For how long?
For the rest of his life.
And that was putting in $300 a month?
For 20 years?
Starting. For
Started.
27
For 5
years.
Do you always structure for that many years and get them bought in right from
Yeah.
the get-go?
Yeah, because you gotta let them know if this is something you're just structuring, like if it was a retirement
Yeah, I haven't
account.
seen that done that way. I like
Exactly.
that. And not coming back and telling them you gotta rewrite anything, structure it so it fits what they need right away.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That makes sense.
And another thing was, he said, I have an IRA, and I throw in $400 a month in that IRA, right? And he said, I'll just get those 400 and put it over here. And I said, before you do that, let me tell you the differences so you understand what you're doing, right? Because I want to be blunt. So when he told me that, I said, let me explain to you the differences, Mr. John. Have you guys ever seen, like, when there's the 401k statement and there's a piece of it that says stocks, bonds, mutual funds, banker,
Pie chart.
right? The pie chart, right?
Pie chart.
Yeah.
So I said, let's imagine, right, that half of it is your IRA. And I said, what do you have in your IRA at Wells Fargo? He says, I said, stocks, stocks, stocks. And this is, I'm just kind of like doing a mess here, but you guys get it, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. That's it. Most of the IRAs, right, that are directly in the market, depending on the diversification of the investment, most of the time, they are in something like this. So if the market goes up, you get all of the gains, but when the market crashes, you crash with it. Right? Right?
Yes.
That's where the IRA is invested. That's perfect. The awesome thing about the IRA or a 401k or a retirement account is that you get all of the gains. The negative is that you get all of the losses. And the thing is, long term, the market always goes up. The tricky thing with the marketplace is the exit strategy.
Yeah.
Most individuals exit when they have lost money. That's the reality. You're like, okay. So what do we do, right? So here, there will be, ay, perdón, You guys can't see, so I said, I will. So what we do is, our part, what we bring to society is the guaranteed aspect towards retirement. Life and annuities are guaranteed, are financial tools that most individuals use for their future, right? Getting those massive returns come with a lot of risk, right? So, what was this guy's called? Baby Ruth, right? The year that he did more home runs, he got a lot of more strikeouts. It's the same thing here. It's the same thing in the marketplace. So what we're here is, we're here for the guarantees. The guarantees of never losing. You're not going to get those monster returns, but they're going to be guaranteed with none of the losses. So how's this structured is, if it goes up, you're capped at around 12%, but when the market crashes, you don't lose a single penny. You keep your income at 0. So what am I saying, John? That depending on your risk tolerance, it's good for you to have money in both areas. Because it would be stupid of me to tell you that this is everything where you want to put your money in. You're like, perfect.
And that makes you more credible to him. Too.
Yeah, because
You're being real.
it's being real.
Yeah.
He appreciated that, right, Francis? So he said, perfect, run it.
I'm sorry, I didn't say no questions, but you said you were going to sign him up for a term and a whole.
Yes,
So did you sign him up for a term as
for
well?
both.
For the 805?
For, it was 525 plus 277, we
Oh,
gave him
okay.
proper coverage.
Nice, nice. So you supplemented with both.
Yes. So what we did here is, I got like 5 minutes, guys. I'm gonna hurry up, okay?
Okay.
So I'm gonna go over the most important aspects of what I showed, okay? Just to make it clear. So I said, John, there's 3 things that are gonna happen that are inevitable. First thing is, in case something happens, so I said, let's imagine right now we put in the application. You've not gotten approved, right? You haven't even given the first premium, the first payment, but if we put in the application and you pass away right now as you're driving through the 805, you would be covered, just because you had the intention of being covered. Awesome. The second thing is, what if you become ill? In case of terminal illness, chronic illness, critical illness, and critical injury. In case of anything concerning those matters, you would be covered. So I showed him this. So a terminal illness at age 65, if John gets any type of heart attack, brain tumors, cancers, anything that's terminal, he would be able to receive, while he's still alive, $469,000. Tax-free, cash money to go do whatever he wants to do. Okay? So I said, what if you're younger? What if you're 50? At 50, you would receive around $261,000 if it's life-threatening while you're still alive. Now, guys, and I told them the reason why I'm so passionate about this and the reason why I started this so young is because my father passed away at 40. My mom was widowed at 37 with 4 kids. She had $50,000 of a life policy. And this is the first time I told someone this, but I said, you know what that $50,000 did? They buried him. She bought a brand new truck, a Tahoe, because we needed a new car. And those Kirby vacuums, they were like $1,000. Because this guy came knocking, and we were like, we want it, Mom. And she like couldn't say no because we had just lost the father, right? But it like purified the air. And we're talking about, I was 11 years of age. So we're talking about 17 years back. It was high tech, right? And we bought that. Those were the 3 things we did. And she's very smart. I thought she was very smart. So, this is reality. This is a reality. I said, but what if, John, what if you don't die? It's not life-threatening, right? But it's a chronic illness. What if you go through a car crash, an operation? What if you can't do 2 activities of the daily living? you could be able to receive these $3,000 a month up to 50 months, up to 4 years. You're like, what do you mean? So in case you go through an operation, you can't do 2 activities of daily living, you can't shower, you can't eat, you can go to work, right? You're just laying in your bed. Who pays your bills? My wife can't. Then who will, man? That's where these benefits come into play, right? So these policies, most of the time is, I said straight up, I got a lot of people that get denied. We are brokers, we work with many companies, but this one I love because of the benefits. Awesome. So, John, we didn't do this for the life insurance aspect. We didn't do this for the living benefits. We did this for the cash value accumulation, because he said, I want something that's covered, that I'm covered with life insurance, but also acts as a sort of retirement for the future. So John, if you fund this, right, how I showed you, estimated that you might have around $266,000. I don't know, because I don't know what the market is going to do, but they're structuring that the market is going to go up and it's going to go down, like it's been doing in the past years. So from there, I let him know exactly how this earns interest, right? This is something you want to read yourself. So this is how it earns interest, right? 1998, the market did 26%. He's capped at 1175. 1999, 19%, you get capped at 1175. 2000, it lost -10, you don't lose a single penny. 2001, -13, you don't lose a single penny. 2002, -23, you don't lose a single penny. 2003, 26, you get 1175. The awesome thing is that you are getting the returns from the past. Every year, if there was a return, you keep it. But when it crashes, you just don't crash for that year. So let's go to 2008. -38%, you don't lose a single penny while still keeping all of these returns from the past. So I said, John, this is something you're doing for the long term. This is something, if individuals say, what is this going to do in 5 years? This is not the product for you. What is this going to do in 10 years? This is not the product for you. Go to the stocks, bonds, mutual funds guy, so you can move that money quick, right? This is something you structure for the future. You start low and you start incrementing as time goes by. Long term, the structure 20-year average is averaging around 6.98%, so almost 7%, while the marketplace is averaging around 5%. And we're talking about a very stable index. Index means a group of companies together. Okay? These are awesome. Awesome. I'm almost done with this, okay? So what I did is I told them, I'm going to show you two things. I'm going to show you the guarantees, and you don't want to look at this as the guarantees, because this is showing that the market doesn't do nothing. And in the whole history of the United States, in the history of the marketplace, since the first crash in the world, do you guys know what was the first crash in the financial world? It was tulips back in the 1600s. They were trading tulips. Interesting, right? So this is imagining that the market does nothing, right? So he's still funding the policy how we showed, right? But he has his accumulated value, and he starts getting a pension of around $400 a month for the rest of his life. And this is imagining that the market does nothing. So in a way, you don't want to look at this, because this is something that has never happened, right? In retrospect, what you want to look at this is more as the current, what normally happens in the marketplace. But still, I said, is getting your money back, right? Is it worth it? He's like, yeah, that's good, awesome, right? You know, when I started in this business, I started learning a lot about history, because all my clients were 50 and up. So I said, what do I have to do to connect with them? Because with a younger individual, I can connect and talk about Instagram, Facebook, whatever. right? But with an older individual, where do we connect? So I started getting into history, man, and I love history.
It's fascinating.
It is, man. So what happens is he funds it. At 66, he stops putting money in there. He might have around $19,000 tax-free. Now I let him know, right? For me to pass my test, I need to understand something, and that something is mortality rates. When are people dying? And I told him, 3 years ago, right, when I passed my license, there was women dying at 87, men at 83. Through technology and through the changes in time, we're seeing that we're living longer. That's why the Social Security retirement age bumped. So, let's imagine, John, that you're going to live up to 89. At 89, you put in $858,000, and you already pulled out $456,000. So you already pulled out almost 3 times the income that you put in. When you pass away, you still leave $64,000 towards your beneficiaries so they can bury you, throw a party, buy a brand new Cadillac, whatever they want to do. Obviously, in 30 years from now, they might not get a brand new Cadillac. They may get like an old one. Now, there's 2 negatives to this. There's 2 negatives. The first negative is if you cancel this in the first 2 or 3 years, you won't get nothing. Because policies, everything pays up in the first 10 years. The easy spot to cancel, right? The best time to cancel one of these policies is after year 11. You would get accumulated $44,000. You surrender it, you would get $44,000. So this is something you don't want to start just to start and then cancel it. Perfect. And the second thing that's negative to this is that you got to get approved. I've gotten a lot of individuals denied, and it happens all the time. So you got to be a certain individual to be able to get approved for this product.
So if you get a life insurance and then you die in your 5th year, you get nothing?
No, in the 5th year, you would receive $290,000 towards his beneficiaries, that being daughter, wife, etc.
If you close the account. And
If
try
you
to-
surrender,
yeah,
if you
try to
cancel
pull
it,
your money out, then you get
yeah,
nothing.
you won't get the first 2
Well,
years.
yes, if they die, right?
Yeah, only if they die.
If
Yeah.
they die, you get the
You get
death
yeah.
benefit. on
He
the-
said if you surrender, if you try to pull your money out, you'll get that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, in a sense, is those are the 2 cons. So he said, okay, let's do that. He's like, I still want to keep my IRA. This is going to be something I open up separate. From there, I said, let's go into, I said, you want to do 300 or, right? Or you want to add the proper coverage to that. It's going to be more than 300. He's like, okay, so how much would it be to get the proper coverage on a 20-year term? So what I did is, so we're appointed with these companies, right? So really quick, what I did is I went here, instant quote, California, he's from September,
Can you zoom in a little bit?
zoom in,
I want you to structure it in with the other policy.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
look at this, guys. Boom. AIG 63, AXA Equitable 66, Lincoln 65,
So you
Principal
can get a
66,
comparison.
Protective 64. We work with all those companies. Now, like I said, what I love about National Life is the benefits. All of these term policies are just term policies. So look at the National Life Group for $70, right? For only it's like almost $7, you get a lot of benefits. So he said, what do you mean benefits? So let me show you. Are you guys finding this valuable, guys?
Yes.
Yeah? Always do LSW term, guys, LSW. So what I did is, he needs 525. So for 20 years, you will get 68.97. Now let me show you really quick the benefits. These are the benefits that I'm talking about. So let's say they have 42, they tell him he's gonna pass away, he's gonna get these 427 plus the 235 from the other policy while
Yeah.
he's still
They have
alive.
really good riders. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there's a lot of really good riders inside of the policy with not the price, because maybe the other companies, they're
Yeah,
$5 cheaper,
Yeah.
but then you gotta add the riders, meaning these benefits for extra 10, 20 bucks a month. So also here, if he gets sick at age 42, you would get these 3,000 plus the other 3,000 of the policy, so you'd be getting around $6,000 to $7,000 to pay his bills. So I said, is it worth it? It's you decide, man. I said, you decide what you want to do, but what we do is if you don't get approved with this one, because it's a preferred company with us, we automatically go and find something better for you inside of the list of carriers that we have. So he said, I just want to work with one company, so let's just move forward. We put in the applications, and we were able to help him out. So now let me give you the numbers on, right? When you guys get a license, how much on a starting contract could you guys earn on that client, right? Starting contract, what you could earn is around $1,300. Going out there and helping the client. Starting contract, you're providing phenomenal service for that individual. He was very happy. He's happy he has living benefits. He's happy he has another source of retirement. And he's excited he wanted to give us some referrals. And that would be a good payday just to going out there and helping him out. Right?
For 2 hours, guys.
Yeah. So for 2 hours, so you're earning like around $600 to $700 an hour. That's pretty good. I'm sorry I just went super quick on it.
That was great.
Great job.
Okay. Awesome, guys.